Welcome. Welcome back.
Welcome here.
I'm so glad you're here. We're going to talk about some stuff. It's World AIDS Day week. World AIDS Fraud Day week, I should say. Or World AIDS HIV testing day. I mean, you know, there's the reality of immunodeficiency we've discussed at length, and we're going to continue to do so, but get into the nuances and details of HIV testing. That's another thing that I think we're going to have to go heavily on the World AIDS Fraud Day. But prior to that, you have an experience, do you not?
Well, we had a...
What? Well, we had a call. Actually, we had a call on this, interestingly enough. By the way, 866-939-BELL, it really works. I will prove to you that number really works. We're going to take a call related to this subject right now.
Hi, Robert. This is Liberty from New York.
Robert.
I had an idea for the upcoming World AIDS Day. This might take something that you might be able to help get accomplished, but I, as a person, individual, can't do it. I had an idea that if House of Numbers, I'm not sure if it's copyrighted, I believe it probably is because they sell the video, if you can get permission from them so that people can download and make DVD copies, burn copies of House of Numbers, and then hand it out to all these people as they're walking through these World AIDS conferences. So that would be an awesome way of spreading the news about the lies of HIV.
Nice.
Thought it was a great idea.
All right,
I don't know what you think about it.
All right, Liberty, thanks so much for that. That was a very nice idea. Obviously, yes, it is a copyrighted material. Our friend Brent Leung has done a lot of wonderful work with that. And he actually continues to do that. And in light of her request to kind of give away free stuff on World AIDS Day, we're going to be releasing, thanks to Brent, some additional footage that will be indeed free for anybody to duplicate however you want, to get it out to the world.
You can download it, you can burn it onto your photocopy machine, anything you like.
Especially related to the fraud of the HIV test, which is very exciting. And you are featured in that, Liam.
I am. I'm not involved. I begged Brent, please release. Yeah, he was willing. We did a thing on the Emperor's New Virus a month ago in which it was discussed by AIDS experts like David Baltimore and Françoise Barré-Sinoussi.
Try saying that fast.
Françoise Barré-Sinoussi.
Sinoussi.
Does your dig bait?
Does your dog bite? Did you say the poop? What's a poop?
And that's World AIDS Day right there, more or less encapsulated.
And it's classic. I mean, if we had a Peter Sellers today making absurdities of these the HIV fraud and the HIV test fraud,
you know what what he would say? I don't see any spits under the. you know.
Where are the spits?
Where are the spits in the?
Yeah.
You know, this is the funny thing about this STD. It's not an STD. You know how you know? Most STDs have the decency to show up on your genitals.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a family show, but right now we're just going to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. Most STDs, in fact, 100% of them have the decency to create a burning, itching, pussing, a canker, a wart, a lesion, a red, bloody, pussy
something
sore.
associated with the act of interacting on a sexual way, of course. And
ow, doc.
But you said it. With the so-called HIV, so-called AIDS, there isn't that.
This isn't an STD.
No. And we'll get more into that. I mean, I don't want to jump the gun on it because we got a lot to discuss, but I really wanted to get into your recent experience, right? You went to one of those Magic Johnson HIV testing, on wheels kind of thing. I see these park benches, HIVtest.net. Get your test today. We've talked about, targeting like poor Haitians here in America, French-speaking, Spanish-speaking poor people. Get the test. Go get the test. Why? Why do they want everybody to get the test? We'll talk about that, but tell me about this experience that happened recently over the holiday weekend.
So I noticed on Magic Friday, when everybody has to go make believe that they're make believe that American is the same thing as buying stuff you don't need. I saved $250 on this Xbox set. I only paid $250. You mean you spent $250 on it? No, I saved $200. How much did you spend? $300 when you got the tax, and I also bought a thing for $50 that insures it. Okay, so you spent $300.
No, I say, come on, can you hear me? I
saved $250 from what?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with it? Eat it? No, you're going to leave it on the floor and it's going to rot. It'll never.
So speaking of buying stuff, when you went in, did they immediately assume, hey, do you want your test? Hey,
no, I walked up to the HIV testing van on Magic we're going to buy stuff to make the economy work day.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this thing. We see these things all over in the poor neighborhoods, the black neighborhoods, and of course the gay neighborhood is just built around the slavery of HIV testing. So they have all gay neighborhoods have testing clinics and centers, and every gay person is indoctrinated from the time they're in utero that they have to go get an HIV test once they have sex. But there in the black community, you're indoctrinated. You have signs, and you have the preacher saying, "Oh, the HIV virus! You have to get. You may not know that you have it," because they're infested by CDC people. They actually local hospitals get money to go invade the black and Hispanic and Portuguese communities and Jamaican communities, right? So go in and all that kind of stuff, and you go get tested. But of course, people don't have doctors; they don't have insurance. So where are they going to go get their magical test? They're going to go to the van in the parking lot in the mall. That's where we do medicine, in the van, in the parking lot, at the mall.
Now, it doesn't have one of those bumper stickers on the back. No, I'm not even going to go there. But I mean, it sounds
Tell me how I'm driving.
Yeah, exactly. It just sounds so surreal and cartoon-like that you just, while you're shopping on Black Magic Friday, right? You're going to get in there and say, "Hey, well, just come and get tested in here." So you go into the van.
Yeah. I walk up to it and I say, "Hey, can I just decided to be non-denominational, non-confrontational, like I'm a kid doing a project, an old kid doing a project for a class. Do you have a package insert?" So the guy, AIDS cultist number 1, looks at me, hands me a piece of paper. I look at it. It's a PR slip about how important what I'm doing is.
That is not a package insert.
I hand it back. I say, "Can I have a package insert?" It's what tells me how the test works. He doesn't even stop. He hands the paper back to me.
Right back to you.
Before I have a chance, my hand takes it, and I go, "No." I hand it back to him, and I say, "Don't give that to me." He gives it to me. No.
What? What is this?
Can I have a package insert?
Does he even know what a package insert was?
Hand me. It tells me the technical specifications and limitations of this test. And he sort of quietly goes away, and then another guy, AIDS cultist number 2, he's a 50-something gay dude, comes out, and this is the package insert, and this is this, and this is this. Okay, and I open it, and he stands there, and I say, "Here it is. Here's the language." And I say, "Oh, this is interesting. Here it is. The Clearview complete HIV test, assay, is intended for use as a point-of-care test to aid in the diagnosis of infection."
Did you call it a Clearview?
That's the name.
The Clearview. It sounds more like for contact lenses.
"To aid in the diagnosis of infection," I say to him. "This test is suitable for use in multi-test algorithms designed for the statistical validation of rapid HIV testers." I say, "Wait a second.
Algorithms, statistics.
It's an aid
to figure. This sounds very convoluted.
It's not." I said, "But do you see that this isn't a test?" And then I went on and said, "Oh, look, do you see this? The Clearview test is not approved to screen blood, plasma, cell, or tissue donors." It goes on. "A reactive test using the Clearview complete HIV test suggests the presence of antibodies." I stopped. I said, "Is that problematic to you?" "It suggests the presence of antibodies to what?" I said, "How do you tell people this is a diagnostic test?" He said, "Oh, we never tell people that."
You kidding? He says that they don't tell them that?
Well, they don't tell them that it's not.
Right. What did you say to that? Immediately you've got a somewhat confrontational moment, and you said you're going to be nice and kind. What did you do?
I said, "So what?" He said, "Oh, well, we send them to have Western blots." I said, "Western blots?" I said, "Those are the same proteins. They're just laid out on a piece of paper instead of put in a plastic well." "Yeah." I said, "Do you know that they don't even use the Western blot in the United Kingdom because they consider it too variable? It doesn't give any reasonable or reassuring result to the technician. It's never what they hope that it is, so they just don't use it." He said, "No."
Was he surprised? Looked like? Or?
He was somewhere between, "I don't hear you, I don't believe you, and are you going to leave yet?"
Oh, really? You're starting to get uncomfortable there. Yeah.
Yeah, but he still was. He took a little bit of it in, and then I said, "You tell people this is a sexually transmitted disease." "Yeah." I said, "Have you ever heard of the Padian Study?" No.
Chances are he didn't. No.
No. Padian. Padian Study. Do you know what that was? Well, they took 175 couples who came in as couples. They let them have sex vaginally and anally, which and believe me, if you're going to go there, you're going to do everything
every
else.
which way but loose, basically.
You know.
And this was, again, discordant couples. We've talked about this on the air. One supposedly
350
HIV positive,
people,
one
half
not.
of them positive, half
Right.
of them not. They kept out injection drug users. I said, how many of the people who were negative having sex with their positive partner for 6 years, and then however long they were couples before they got into the study, how many of them came up positive? Well, I don't know. I'm not good. I said, well, wait a second. You tell me this is a sexually transmitted disease, so just take a guess. I'm not going to hold it against you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the probable number? He said, half. I said, the number was 0. We record zero conversions. Now, that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that HIV exists. It doesn't mean that it's not sexually transmitted. It means that when you take 350 people and you test them and you leave out the drug injection users who don't build up a large antibody component, people who aren't injecting drugs don't test positive. Not because they're transmitting anything or not transmitting anything. They're building up crap in their blood.
Inflammatory compounds, or markers, other things that are cross-reactive, as we know from the so-called HIV tests that they claim to, aid in the no, it's not diagnostic. We're helping in the algorithm and the statistics, and this guy's head's got to be spinning at this point, Liam. Honestly, I mean, or now he's tuning out by now. I mean, this is too
I don't
much.
know. I said, will you look that up? Okay, Padian. I said, do you have anybody who can come on the radio? Well, we have a PR department. I said, I don't want a PR department. Do you have any technicians, laboratory people who can come on and discuss the clear limitations of this fraudulent thing you're selling as an HIV test? Because this isn't let's say that I were one of the worried well, and I wanted to go and get reassured that I didn't secretly have something that wasn't an STD because I didn't have any burning anywhere in my private parts. I had nothing going on in my loins that wasn't supposed to be there. Mm-hmm. And yet, I had an anxiety because I'd had a sexual experience that maybe I felt a little dirty about. And I've been told by the culture that that could be where you get the thing that kills you after 40 or 70 or 150 years. Nobody's really sure yet. But if you take the drugs, you could only die within 10 or 5 or maybe 6 months or 20 years. Nobody really knows that either. But it's going to be a rough road. But at least you'll be doing the right thing. This isn't a sexually transmitted thing. This isn't a transmitted thing. People get sick with immune deficiency one by one. One by one. That's how that works. That is the most important thing that anybody can know about AIDS. You get sick individually. You don't transmit sickness.
Right. Well, we talk about it in terms of even influenza, the misconstrued understanding or misunderstanding of everybody catches it when you create it from within between Halloween and the Super Bowl because you abuse your gastrointestinal system. And, of course, in extreme cases, abusing it with pharmaceutical drugs like antibiotics, vaccinations. You go to illicit street drugs, immunosuppressant drugs, toxins, all of these things leading to the rise from within of immune deficiency, even collapse. And of course, if you could relabel it, rename it, resell it, market it as an STD that will kill you, now you've got a profit center that just won't quit, except for the fact that we are covering it like nowhere else in media with Liam Scheff. This week, World AIDS Fraud Day coming up, and we're going to be releasing more of the frauds of the HIV test. We'll talk a little bit more about this on the other side of this break here with Liam Scheff. Hey, the mature understanding here we're talking about, because I remember, and I've talked about this on the air before as a teenager, thinking I can save the world, right? You get some people have that thought form, whether it be in healing or I want world peace, right? The naive and idealistic youth that says I'm going to change the world, and then at a certain point you realize, well, I can only change myself. But the reality is, once you do, your consciousness shifts. You impact on others inadvertently, even without purposefully doing so, just by walking differently, by talking differently, by moving through life differently, by believing that your energy shifts. And that allows others to shift their energy, should they be so open, as opposed to those that would force their way. Because there is a point in time where we become zealots, religious converts. For instance, somebody might learn that HIV doesn't cause AIDS, that it hasn't been isolated, and the HIV tests are fraudulent. And they might go nuts with this information, Liam. They might go up, I'm going to hold a placard, I'm going to go in everybody's face, and I'm going to... And don't do it. You're asking for disaster. You're asking for, that's the difference, what you're saying about détente versus going in and freeing the slaves who don't want to be freed. As I said, people are going to be very annoyed. In fact, you think the great danger are the captors, are the slave masters?
Right.
Much more dangerous are the slaves themselves, who are then awoken to a reality they didn't want to wake from.
Oh, God, yeah, they're the worst.
And we have to be very sensitive to that, or else we create absolute warlike disaster as the slaves revolt, not against the slave masters, but against those who would point out that they're enslaved.
Right. No, HIV slaves are the most unreasonable group of people you've ever met. Instead of being happy or interested that people have done fine without the drugs, even though hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people have died on the drugs at this point, but certainly hundreds and hundreds of thousands have clearly been poisoned to death. Even in the mid-90s alone, early 90s on AZT, a healthy young guy is given this drug for a matter of weeks, die. Even though this is the case, if 1 or 2 or 3 people over 20 years who said HIV isn't the cause of AIDS dies, they'll put this on every placard as though 3 people seem to indicate that they were right all along. For them, every death is a victory. I mean that. There's something wrong with them. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to interfere with that wrongness. I want the people who want to choose another way to be left alone. It's like the end of the Matrix. You can't destroy the Matrix, but you can't destroy the fact that some people want to be free. We have to sort of just deal with it.
Find that so-called balance, those that are ready. And you know, it isn't just a free pass. Oh, here you go. Here's your ticket out, right?
It's hard work.
You have to re-win it every day.
It's hard work.
Yes, extremely hard work. So anybody that sells you, here, I've got the ticket to freedom. You just sign up right here, give me $100 or $1,000 or $1 million, whatever, $1 trillion if you're Ben Bernanke. Everything's good. It doesn't work that way. Freedom, if you talk about a state of consciousness, a state of mind, a state of being, it must be re-won every day.